move on to Karoline, who you saw briefly before, and another of the code words which was used in the last discussion before with Christoph and Leva was fun. And I kind of use that to say, yes, I think there are a number of artists who could actually underwrite that and say that was an important element of their work. And it's an important element of Karoline's work, among other things. But so thank you for joining us, Karoline. I think we can hear you.
Yeah.
I think we can. Yes, and
Okay.
we can see you. So you're going to perhaps share your screen at some point,
I can
but
see
otherwise you take over from
hear
here.
me? Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. I can see we have 13 attendees and 14 panelists.
Yeah, but that's, we can't really do much about that, I'm afraid. So that's...
No, but that's, I'm not talking about numbers. I'm talking about persons, people.
Yeah, that's exactly. As long as it's the right people and the right panelists, we're actually okay.
I'm not talking about, I'm just saying hi to people that are actually here.
Okay,
because, and pressing the share screen. Well, yeah, takes a second. Oh dear. Desktop, this one, share, that one. How much can you see now?
We can see the screen, and we have some pictures on the left, so you just need to put it onto full screen.
See the,
That's
okay,
all.
Great.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Full screen. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's it.
Oops. Something on your sound, Trevor. Anyways, thank you for being there. Many questions came up. I can see here microtopias, many words. I began, I'm educated as a visual artist from the Royal Academy of Denmark. I realized that for me, art is such a social thing, but I'm still related to material and to objects. But since I come from the social basis, I go into situations. And I'm definitely in for this idea of having microtopias. I mean, you can have many words to the different perspectives, but I'm definitely, short said, I do believe in art, that art can make, and then it could be short-term change or it could be long-term change. And that is not what I can't decide that. So I go in sometimes very short time and do a thing, and sometimes I go in very long time, which can be for 7-8 years in a neighborhood. But what is connecting all these different ways of working is the situation that I go into. For instance, this one with a tunnel. When we go in there, it's a kind of fear-based situation. And also in this situation back in New Delhi, it was a rape-based, fear-based culture. And basically I try to do some of the same kind of electricity, what do you call that in English? I don't know, you're like that. So I definitely use fun and humor for reconnecting in a new way. And it can be, I looked at all the places where I've been asked to work. Either it's a void, either it's the void that I'm going to, the void where people have withdrawn because it's fear-based, or because it's or it's simply unnoticed and they don't know why they should go in this place. Could be a park, for instance, could be a closed down dark tunnel, or it can be a void of because it's in the center of a city, and this void is sort of overcrowded with just being the center of the city. And what should we do with it now that it's so? And when I'm speaking of that one, I'm talking about this kind of work, if you can see, which is in the center of Rome. And so I want to rediscover all these places, and I'm doing this always participatory, because as I said earlier, art for me, if I was on an island, whatever, I mean, I need to be with people, and contact is essential. So when I see that we are people here, it's not about numbers, it's about how many people are here listening and connecting. So it's, yeah. Okay, I'll show this one, tunnel based. Here it's both, this one is both young people, old people going in, rediscovering their own tunnel, which is up in their, up here, this long tunnel up here. I'm also looking at my time.
You're okay. It's fine.
Thank you, Trevor. Oops. And this one, I mean, it looks like an artwork that came top down, but it's actually has a long process with the citizens living in the area, both the young ones, the old ones, taking part and saying yes and deciding, and also taking part in the actual making. So for me, this interaction and participating can be on different levels that I have to decide for each different location where I go in. For instance, this one, I'm also, because it's a permanent artwork, it's possible for me to integrate like these little buttons where you can go in and press the black ones, and you hear the heartbeat of people that are living in the area, where they're doing it as a choir. Artist Astrid Randrup, we invited her to come in, and how does your heart sound? How does it, and people are saying it, doom, 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 different ways. So this artist who's very specialized into sound and art, she went in and did that. So for me, it's not either art or citizens. It's not either or that I heard Kel talked about this. I mean, for me, it's about how to merge these different layers. Yeah, and this one we also have kids, old ones, old people and young people participating at the same time. And of course it's about meeting. I mean, it's about making new, new meetings, new ways of being. I mean, you could put many different words to it, but since I don't choose one way of putting words to it, is because it's very, some individuals, they look at it as, okay, this was a total turn point of their life. Other people, it's more like this was a marker of, yeah, I think I make space for the interpretation of the people taking part, because it can be different layers. This one is called Collective Strings. Thank you to Metropolis for inviting me to do this in a park. It was a park that in a little outside Copenhagen, not many people would come there. And we were interested in actually collaborating with the city development for this particular area. And they would send their people coming in with making qualitative interviews with people taking part in the art for a tool to, and I'm not afraid using this tool word or utilizing or whatever, because the base of the art is so, has its own integrity. So I don't mind that other people come in and use it. Why not? And they make qualitative interviews about what does it do with people's imagination. And yeah, so it's about opening up an area in new ways. This is one way you could do it. It starts with just a single string. And all of these strings are people that have thrown it, like this guy, this little dude. And so it's a lot of participation. And yeah, and then we have questions of responsibility, questions of when you leave again. And that is also different for each location. This location, clearly the city development took the responsibility of what would happen next in this park. Whereas in the tunnel you saw before, Me and the other artists are the ones taking this responsibility together with the municipality and the people living there, the citizens council, deciding what will happen next. And this one, also thanks to Metropolis for inviting. This one, the local municipality engagement was less active. They could have had qualified interviews coming in, and because people were actually asking for permanent work like this. They said, we need stuff like this where we can come and play in new ways, not just playgrounds, but where we can get, where we can be surprised in new ways, where we can have, yeah, because this monotone way of living, the capitalist way, or whatever you call it, 8 to 4, like we need, we totally need, you can also call it fun, or you can call it disturbance, or you can call it electrical, whatever, but this way of having new energy into where we are. And here I would have loved the municipality to come in and also make interviews, because people were totally serious about what they wanted. Now, blah, 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 skipping these ones, just to see it's the same method, but different locations, different people that are meeting each other. I can show you a video from those projects, but I believe I'll also show you this more long-term project. I don't value them one better the other. They got different ways of working. This one is Værebro. They call it a socially challenged area. And I'm like, yeah, what's the problem? Who's challenged? The people living in the little villas around, in the closed villas, or the people living in these big compounds? I mean, there's so many, these words, I'm like, but when you go in the street, you can meet up to 85 different nationalities in Værebro, and they live like, it's a suburb where they have like 3,200 people living there, and they live in 1,645 different apartments. And okay, so Gladsaxe municipality go in and tries to open this area, and of course, as an artist, I'm questioning, should we open the area you see here, these big high buildings, and the lower ones, that's called Værebro, this area. And then it's closed because of infrastructure. The motor highway, the big ringway, and another way here, also just nature down here. So it's sort of closed area. And this is the other area. So I got into work and made an art path together with the local children houses, 3 children houses here, and 3 children houses on the other side of the highway. And for me, it's a gift when I go into an area who's open to working with me or working with whoever comes in. This time it was me, and I grabbed the opportunity. And because it's about having people that are open, both in municipality, also in the from the citizens living in the buildings, many different areas. So it's like little cracks where it's open. And this time, this art path has now been running for 2 years. I created it together with the pedagogues from the area. I looked for marks from the area that I know that local kids can easily play with geometrical forms, and also the pedagogues can go in and use triangles and circles for doing easy work, for doing works with the kids. So I find a format that fits, that was 8 minutes. I think I might have 5 minutes more or something like that. Is that it? My rambling, Trevor, is it 5 minutes more like that? Or maybe, I don't know. Yeah,
5 is fine. 5 is fine.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, and so we go in and this is on the other side of the highway. And the point is that the kids, of course, take part when we build the stuff, but they also take part when it's, and the pedagogues go in and actually say that they do want it, because they draw on my drawings. So, and yeah, this is another project where this location municipality asked that they wanted the youth, the young people to come in. So I invited youth to come in and tell me about their experience of color and how they could take part in deciding the different colors that we would use in this light installation. For this location, it's the municipality development who decides that, okay, we want art here and we want light art. So I come in at that point. So it's very different what time you come in on a location and what you will work with. Each time responsibility is sort of the same serious, but it's different what you, of course, it's different what kind of, which people you can bring in and which you can't. Here it was the youth. I'm not going into the history of why it looks like this, but that we could do it at another time, because this is for Hvidovre. I'm showing these different ones because what they have in common is that it's, as you can see, it's sort of a void. It's a totally black. And it's also where, let's say it straight, criminals would stand here and do drug dealing, blah, 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 blah. I don't mind art being used because, I mean, it's about, for me, it's about creating this experience, this new space of experience. The test comes when we see if it's vandalized or not. And this one was, it has to do with a lot of communication to the different people, especially to the young people, make sure to communicate and they take part. So we don't have the vandalism. And this is what was also a void before this, and it's super colorful. That's because it's super temporary. It was 2.5 months, and this area was sort of, they called it the pissing area, the youth, and they said, oh, it's going to be torn down in in just one weekend because we go out party here, blah, blah, blah. And they, so they took part and, it was, you can say the big storm took one of the body pictograms down, but besides that, it actually was there for 2.5 months. The kids go in on different levels. As you can see, here's the production school, young kids, and they are in the educational level, so they need to learn how to do the grass, and they need to know how to learn. And the other ones that are in the wood section, they do the wood cutting, and the ones that are in the pedagogue level, they do the movements for these signs. And the kids that are in the decoration, they do the, so it's fitted for the different levels of education. Now we are back in Verabro. This is 2 years later of the first bridge you saw, and the first circular movements. We come in again, and they are still on to collective work. This is about, again, a simple action, because if I do a simple action with a string or with a stone or with these wooden boards, or with, and people can take part, and then it can become more and more complex. So we made this Centurs, I think, Centurs Pass. And we did this both in this area and on the other side of the motorway. So again, it's about meeting. So the kids from this area would go to the other side of the highway and see the other Centurs part and meet with the kids from that area. So of course it's about the art, but the art is the process and the art is the meetings. Oh my God, I got a lot of words. 12. Yeah, this is also where I take photos from the collective strings that we did in I showed you in the first part. So I'll take photos from that intervention and turn it into light art. This was, I ran super fast through the first photo. I'm sorry, but this is that photo turned into colors, where the kids are tearing the textile and it makes sound in the area. So the people that are living are like, what's happening? Which is good, because they come down and they take part. And this is made into, and again, for me, it's about the body in the street, how we interact. I could show you a little movie, but no time for that, but I'm sure you can imagine how people can walk on it and see colors on their own skin, and and then they can also start guessing. It's a guessing game. What are we looking at? Again, about imagination. What can I envision? A little kid, he says, okay, this one, I think it looks like a hen, like a chicken, and another one says it looks like a boat. I have a little video where I by coincidence walked by, and yeah. So I think it's about staying humble when you go into different locations, really being humble and have huge ears, listening of which layers can you combine. And always for me, it's different for which artists come in, but for me, it's the body that I work with, the body on the ground, the body in the street. How can I make material that becomes interactive? Yeah.
Great. I think that's a great point to stop if we can.
Yeah,
does it make
exactly.
sense? Okay, that is perfect. All right. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for listening.
Lots of images and lots of energy and some really interesting things. Thanks a lot.